CAC and ROAS are probably the two metrics you look at the most, and ironically, they're also the two metrics most likely to screw up your growth because they feel objective, they feel clean. They feel like this is working or this isn't. But I'll tell you right now, I've seen more brands stall, plateau, or make bad decisions because of CAC and ROAS than almost anything else in marketing. Not because the metrics are wrong, but because of how they're used. I'm Aaron, co-founder at 3 Beacon Marketing. We work with brands where ads are working, but growth is stuck. And this is usually the reason. Here's the issue. CAC and ROAS are snapshot metrics. They measure a moment in time. CAC asks, what did it cost to acquire this customer? ROAS asks, what did we get back right now? Sounds reasonable, but here's what they ignore. What happens after the purchase? What kind of customer are you actually acquiring? How that customer behaves over time. So what ends up happening? You start making decisions based on incomplete information. Here's an example. Campaign A has a ROAS of 3.2 and a CAC of $40. Campaign B has a ROAS of 1.8 and a CAC of $65. Which one do most brands scale? Well, Campaign A. And which do they kill? Campaign B. Seems obvious, but I've seen this exact situation where Campaign B was actually the better campaign. Why? Because of what happens after. And this is where it gets dangerous. CAC and ROAS don't just measure performance, they shape behavior. They train you or your team to think a certain way. They push you toward short-term wins, fast paybacks, immediate profitability. And that sounds smart until it starts actually limiting you in scale. Because now you won't test anything that looks inefficient up front. You won't explore offers that take longer to convert, and you won't invest in acquisition that pays off later. You only chase what works immediately, which creates a very specific kind of business, one that survives but doesn't expand or scale. And this is why most brands plateau. Not because ads stopped working, but because their decision making got boxed in by the metrics. The brands that break through this don't ignore CAC and ROAS. They just stop treating them as the final and only answer. Instead, they start asking better questions. One, what kind of customer did we acquire? Because not all customers are equal. Some buy once and disappear, others come back again and again, buy across categories, become higher value over time, and if you don't separate those, your CAC starts to lie to you. Two, what happens after the first purchase? This is where most brands stop looking, but this is where the real signal actually is. Do they come back in 30 days, buy something else, increase their average order value? If you're not tracking that, you're making acquisition decisions blind. And 3, what are we optimizing for? This is a big one. Most brands are going to optimize for lowest CAC and highest ROAS. Smart brands optimize for customer quality, repeat behavior, and total value created over time. That shift alone can change everything. Because now you're not just asking, did this campaign work today? You're asking, did this campaign bring in the kind of customer we actually want? So most brands aren't stuck because their ads are bad, their offers bad, their landing page isn't converting. They're stuck because they're measuring the wrong things, making decisions too early, killing things that would have worked if they just gave it a little bit of time. They're optimizing for transactions instead of customers. And those are not the same thing. So here's the takeaway. CAC and ROAS are tools, but if you treat them like the truth, they will box you into short-term thinking, and short-term thinking kills long-term growth. If you're running ads right now and feel like things work but don't scale, performance gets tighter as you grow, or you're constantly chasing better ROAS, before you touch your campaigns, look at how you're measuring them, because that's usually where the real problem is. If you want help with that, we'll break down your metrics, your campaigns, and your decision making, and show you where growth is getting blocked. There's a link in the description, click it to book a call today. And if this helped, send it to another founder who's staring at ROAS all day, wondering why nothing's changing.